There will come a moment in your journey where everything inside of you screams, it's not working. You'll look at the effort, the time, the energy you've poured in, and you'll question yourself. You'll wonder if you're wasting your life, if the sacrifices you've made will ever be worth it. That is the exact moment you must remember this truth. Never doubt the process and stick to the plan, because success doesn't reveal itself in the beginning. It doesn't show up when you first plant the seed. The roots grow in silence, hidden beneath the soil, and if you give up too early, you never allow that seed to break through into the light. Most people quit not because they can't achieve it, but because they don't trust the process long enough for it to bear fruit. Think about it. You can't go to the gym for a week and expect the body of an athlete. You can't put in 1 month of work on your dream and expect the results of 10 years of discipline. Yet people do this every single day. They start, they push, they wait for instant results, and when they don't see them, they walk away. That's not failure, that's sabotage. You are killing your own dream not because it isn't possible, but because you lack the patience to let the process do its work. The process is designed to test you. It will break you down not to destroy you, but to shape you into someone who can handle the weight of success. If it came too fast, if it came too easy, you wouldn't respect it, you wouldn't sustain it, and you wouldn't grow into the person capable of carrying it forward. Every delay, every challenge, every setback is part of the sculpting. Life is not denying you, it is preparing you. The question is, will you stay in the fire long enough to be forged, or will you run the moment it gets hot? You need to make a decision. Stop expecting instant gratification. Stop demanding immediate results. Decide right now that the plan is non-negotiable. Your vision is not up for debate. The timing may not be what you expected, the road may not look like you imagined, but the destination is the same. And if you stick to the plan, if you keep moving forward despite the pain, despite the doubts, despite the whispers telling you to give up, the process will eventually pay you back in ways far greater than you ever dreamed. Discipline is not glamorous, it's not exciting, it's boring, repetitive, and sometimes brutally hard, but discipline compounds, consistency compounds, the same way water carves through rock. Your daily actions carve the future you desire. You won't notice the change at first. Others won't notice it either. But if you hold the line day after day, suddenly people will call you an overnight success. They won't see the years you endured, the nights you stayed up when everyone else slept, the times you fought through self-doubt when no one believed. They'll only see the results, but you'll know the truth. You stuck to the plan and the process rewarded you. So ask yourself, are you committed or are you interested? Because those who are merely interested will quit the moment the process tests them. But those who are committed, they burn the boats, they eliminate the exit strategy, they plant their flag in the ground and declare, I will not stop until I get there. Commitment means you don't need evidence right now. You don't need proof today. You trust that if you keep swinging, eventually the wall will crack. This is your reminder. Greatness is not built in sudden bursts. It's built brick by brick, day by day, when you do the work even when the world isn't clapping, even when no one is watching, even when your mind is screaming at you to give up. That's the moment that matters most. That's where champions are made. Never doubt the process and stick to the plan. When you plant a seed, nothing seems to happen at first. You water it, you care for it, you give it sunlight, and still, when you look at the soil, it looks exactly the same. Days pass, weeks pass, and sometimes even months pass with no visible change. That's where most people get discouraged. They think, why am I putting in all this effort if I can't see the result? But what they don't understand is that something powerful is happening beneath the surface. The roots are growing deep, anchoring themselves into the earth, building a foundation strong enough to sustain the growth that is coming. Growth is invisible before it becomes undeniable. That's how life works, that's how success works, that's how transformation works. The mistake many people make is believing that if they can't see immediate results, nothing is happening. They confuse the silence of the process with the absence of progress. They want instant proof, they want instant validation, and when they don't get it, they abandon the plan. But think about it. If a farmer planted a seed and walked away after 3 days because nothing sprouted, would we call that seed a failure? No. We would call the farmer impatient. The process is not broken. The plan is not broken. The timeline is simply longer than they're tolerant. That's the truth most people can't handle. They want success on their schedule, but life moves on its own. In every area of life, whether it's building a business, transforming your body, mastering a skill, or healing from pain, the first phase is invisible progress. You're showing up, putting in the reps, making the sacrifices, and you're not getting applause. You're not getting recognition. No one is saying, wow, look at how much you've changed. And it hurts because you're human and we all crave that validation. But that's exactly the moment you must push through. That's when the roots are being established. You're building depth, resilience, and strength that will later sustain your success. Without those invisible roots, any progress you make will collapse the moment pressure hits. The truth is, growth requires patience. You cannot demand fruit without giving time for roots. This is why so many people stop just short of their breakthrough. They've already done 90% of the work, but because they don't see the 10% that remains, they walk away. Imagine digging for gold and quitting one strike before hitting the vein. Imagine training for years and quitting just before your body adapts. Imagine building a business and quitting right before the market recognizes you. That is the tragedy of doubt. It blinds you to the fact that progress is happening even when you cannot see it. Think about bamboo. When you plant bamboo, for years nothing appears. You water, you nurture, and still there's nothing above the surface. Most people would give up, thinking the plant is dead. But in reality, bamboo is growing its roots. Then one day, suddenly, it shoots up feet in a matter of weeks. All that time it was building an underground system strong enough to support rapid growth. Life works the same way. Your effort is not wasted. Your discipline is not wasted. It is building a foundation that will one day allow explosive growth. The problem is, most people quit during the root stage because they don't trust the process. So when you find yourself in that space where it feels like nothing is moving, remind yourself that the seed never shows results on day one. Growth is a game of patience, consistency, and faith. The process is not meant to reward you immediately. It is meant to shape you, test you, and prepare you. The silence is not a sign of failure. It is a sign that deeper work is happening. And if you can hold your vision steady during that silence, if you can resist the temptation to dig up the seed to check if it's working, you will one day see results so undeniable that people will call you lucky, when in reality you simply stayed long enough to witness what the process was always going to deliver. Quitting too early has nothing to do with lack of ability. It has everything to do with lack of patience. People start something with energy, with excitement, with big visions in their mind, but the moment the results don't come fast enough, they convince themselves it's not working. They sabotage themselves by abandoning the very process that was designed to get them where they want to go. They don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they don't give it enough time. That's the cruel truth about success. Most people are closer than they think, but they walk away right before the breakthrough. When you decide to build something meaningful, whether it's your health, your business, your relationships, or your personal growth, you have to understand that results rarely show up on your timeline. The world doesn't hand you trophies for showing up for 1 week. Transformation doesn't unfold in a straight line. Progress is often hidden in the grind, in the quiet hours, in the consistency that no one else sees. But because most people only chase visible validation, they quit when they don't see proof. They start a diet, and when they don't drop 10 pounds in 10 days, they stop. They launch a business, and when the first month doesn't bring in thousands of customers, they stop. They practice a skill, and when they don't master it in a few tries, they stop. They sabotage themselves because they confuse delayed results with no results at all. The process always rewards the ones who endure long enough. Success is not instant coffee. You don't just pour water and stir. It's more like building a fire. You stack the wood, you strike the match, you feed the flame, and at first it's weak, barely flickering. But if you stay with it, if you shield it from the wind, if you keep fueling it, suddenly it catches and becomes unstoppable. But if you walk away too soon, you never allow it to grow into the force it was meant to be. The same thing happens with your dreams. Quitting too early is the same as putting out your own fire. Think about the stories you admire most. The athletes, the entrepreneurs, the leaders, the visionaries. None of them achieved their greatness instantly. They all went through years where no one believed in them, where the process tested them, where doubt whispered in their ears every single day. The difference is, they didn't stop. They didn't sabotage themselves by walking away before the reward. They trusted that if they kept showing up, if they kept working when the world wasn't clapping, if they stuck to the plan long enough, eventually the results would reveal themselves, and they did. The hardest part about this journey is that doubt always shows up louder in the beginning. It tells you it's not worth it. It tells you you're not capable. It tells you nothing is changing. But doubt is not truth, it's a test. It's the voice that asks, will you continue even when you can't see proof? Because if you can't, you'll never reach the moment when the invisible progress becomes visible transformation. Most people don't fail at their goals. They abandon them because they don't trust the unseen work being done behind the scenes. They sabotage their own future because they lack patience in the present. When you understand this, you stop measuring success by how fast you see results, and you start measuring it by how consistent you are with the process. You stop sabotaging yourself with impatience, and you start trusting that every rep, every step, every action is building momentum even if you can't feel it yet. You stop needing validation in the moment because you know the reward will come later. Quitting too early is the only guarantee of failure. Staying the course is the only guarantee of giving yourself a chance. The process is never meant to be smooth, easy, or comfortable. If it were, everyone would achieve greatness, and success would lose its meaning. The truth is, the process is designed to test you, to challenge you, to break down the weaker parts of you so that the stronger version of you can emerge. When you commit to a goal, life doesn't immediately hand you what you asked for. Instead, it gives you obstacles, setbacks, delays, and frustrations, not to deny you, but to prepare you. Every time you are tested, every time you are pushed to your limits, you are being shaped into the kind of person who can not only achieve success, but sustain it. Because success without strength crumbles and achievement without growth cannot last, think about how a sword is forged. It is not built in comfort. It is put into fire, beaten with force, and plunged into cold again and again. Each strike, each flame, each moment of pressure is not punishment, it is preparation. The steel becomes stronger, sharper, more resilient because of the process it endured. In the same way, when life puts you through challenges, it is not rejecting you, it is forging you. The struggle is the evidence that you are being prepared for something greater than where you are now. Most people misinterpret the process. They think resistance means they're on the wrong path. They think difficulty is a sign that they should stop. But resistance is proof that you are moving toward growth. Muscles don't grow without tension. Skills don't sharpen without repetition. Character doesn't develop without adversity. The very things you want to avoid, discomfort, struggle, delay, are the very things sculpting you into someone capable of carrying the weight of the vision you've been given. If it came easy, you wouldn't respect it. If it arrived instantly, you wouldn't sustain it. The process slows you down because it's making sure you're built for the long haul. Every champion has a story of struggle. Every leader has a story of setbacks. Every success story you admire is filled with chapters where they could have quit but didn't. That is the pattern of life. Before you rise, you are tested. Before you reach the next level, you are broken down. It's not punishment, it's preparation. You are being conditioned to handle the very thing you asked for. If you want abundance, you will be tested with scarcity. If you want strength, you will be tested with weakness. If you want success, you will be tested with failure. Life hands you the opposite first, not to discourage you, but to prepare you for the responsibility that comes with what you're asking for. The process is not interested in comfort, it is interested in growth. Comfort never made anyone strong. Comfort never produced greatness. It is in the hard days, in the moments you question yourself, in the hours you want to quit, that the transformation is actually happening. Most people don't realize that when they are struggling, when they feel stretched, when they are tested, that is when the most important growth is taking place. You don't see it immediately, but it's being built inside of you. The patience, the resilience, the endurance, the focus. All of it is forged in difficulty, never in ease. If you run from the process, if you try to skip the struggle, if you look for shortcuts, you rob yourself of the very strength you need to hold on to success once it arrives. That's why so many people who find quick success lose it just as quickly. They had the dream, but they didn't have the character. They had the result, but they didn't have the resilience. The process is not there to block you, it's there to build you. Every obstacle is not in the way, it is the way. Every setback is not a stop sign, it's a lesson. Every delay is not denial, it's preparation. When you understand this, you stop resisting the process and you start respecting it. You stop asking, why me? And you start asking, what is this shaping inside me? You stop doubting when it gets hard, because you know hard is exactly what it's supposed to be. You know the fire is shaping you. You know the test is proving you. You know the struggle is growing you. And when that perspective clicks, you no longer see challenges as barriers. You see them as the training ground for your future. Discipline is not glamorous, and consistency is not exciting. They are not the things that get celebrated or applauded in the beginning. They are not the moments that people post about or praise because they don't look impressive on the surface. Waking up early to train, staying late to work, saying no to distractions, repeating the same action day after day when no one notices, that doesn't look like greatness, it looks ordinary. But the truth is, discipline and consistency are the foundation on which every extraordinary achievement is built. They are the quiet forces that compound over time, slowly carving the life you want, shaping you into the person you need to become. Most people underestimate the power of small, repeated actions. They want big results fast, so they ignore the little things. They look for hacks, shortcuts, overnight transformations. But life doesn't work like that. Just like water cutting through rock, progress is slow and invisible at first, but it never stops working. One drop of water does nothing, but 1,000 drops over time can carve canyons. That's what discipline does. It may not feel powerful in the moment, but repeated daily, it creates unstoppable change. Consistency compounds, and what looks like small actions today will be the reason for massive results tomorrow. When you look at the people who achieve greatness, you'll notice something. They're not always the most talented, not always the smartest, not even the ones with the best opportunities. They're the ones who showed up every day regardless of how they felt. They're the ones who treated discipline like a non-negotiable. They didn't wait for motivation, they relied on habits. They didn't need to feel inspired, they simply honored the commitment to keep going. That is the secret most people ignore. It's not about intensity once in a while, it's about consistency all the time. It's not about going all out for 1 week. It's about showing up every single day for years. Discipline is often boring, and that's why so many people walk away from it. They crave excitement, they want variety, they want constant stimulation. But success doesn't live in excitement, it lives in repetition. The repetition of practice, the repetition of focus, the repetition of effort. Think about athletes. They run the same drills, practice the same movements again and again until it becomes muscle memory. Think about musicians. They play the same scales for hours, perfecting the basics before they ever perform on stage. That's what success requires. Discipline to repeat what works. Consistency to keep going when it feels monotonous. Those who master this are the ones who separate themselves from the crowd. There will be days when nothing feels like it's moving, days where your effort feels invisible, days where you want to give up because you can't see the reward. But those are the most important days to stay consistent, because when you push through those moments, you are proving to yourself that your actions are not dependent on feelings. You're building an identity rooted in discipline. And identity is stronger than motivation. Motivation fades, feelings shift, but identity stays. If you see yourself as someone who does the work no matter what, you won't rely on inspiration. You'll rely on consistency. The power of compounding is real. One day of effort may not make a difference, but string together 1,000 days, and suddenly the results are undeniable. The body transforms, the business grows, the skill sharpens. People will call it a breakthrough, but it wasn't one big moment. It was the accumulation of small, boring, disciplined moments stacked on top of each other. That's the truth behind every success story. The result is public, but the work was private. The applause is loud, but the discipline was silent. When you understand this, you stop chasing instant results and you start trusting the compound effect of your actions. You stop getting discouraged when the results aren't immediate, because you know consistency always pays off. You stop comparing your journey to others, because you know as long as you keep stacking days of discipline, your future is guaranteed to look different from your present. The little choices matter, the small steps matter. Every act of discipline builds momentum. Every day of consistency moves you closer. And eventually, all those quiet, unseen actions combine into something so powerful that it cannot be ignored. Commitment is the dividing line between those who dream and those who achieve. When you are merely interested in something, you do it when it's convenient, when it feels good, when the circumstances are favorable. But when you are committed, you remove the option of turning back. You eliminate the safety nets, you burn the boats, and you tell yourself there is no way out except through. That level of commitment changes everything, because it forces you to find a way forward no matter how difficult the road becomes. Interest says I'll try. Commitment says I will. When you commit fully, you stop negotiating with yourself. You stop asking whether or not you feel like doing the work, because the decision has already been made. The plan is non-negotiable, the vision is fixed, and the actions become automatic. That doesn't mean it's easy. It doesn't mean there won't be days where doubt creeps in, where fatigue wears you down, where the temptation to quit feels overwhelming. It means that none of those things matter because your commitment is greater than your circumstances. You don't need evidence today because you trust that consistency will bring results tomorrow. The people who achieve greatness all share one trait. They commit at a level most others never will. They don't give themselves permission to quit. They don't create exit strategies to fall back on. They place themselves in a position where the only option is forward, where the only outcome is to keep going until they succeed. That kind of commitment removes doubt, because doubt thrives in indecision. When you're halfway in, you leave the door open for fear to creep through. But when you close that door, when you declare with absolute certainty that you are all in, there is no room for hesitation. Commitment doesn't mean you won't struggle. It means you'll keep going through the struggle. It doesn't mean you won't face setbacks. It means you won't let setbacks stop you. It doesn't mean you'll always feel confident. It means you'll act even when you don't. That's the difference between those who win and those who walk away. The committed ones stay in the game long enough to see the results. The interested ones quit at the first sign of resistance. Success doesn't belong to the most talented, it belongs to the most committed. When you commit, you develop a resilience that nothing else can give you. You stop looking for signs that it's working, and you start focusing only on doing what it takes. You stop obsessing over how long it will take, because you've already decided you're not going anywhere until it happens. That mindset shifts everything. Suddenly obstacles are no longer reasons to quit, they are challenges to overcome. Delays are no longer discouragements, they are part of the journey. Failure is no longer final, it's simply feedback. Because when you are committed, you are untouchable by the things that stop most people. The truth is, commitment transforms effort into inevitability. Once you decide that quitting is not an option, the outcome is no longer a question of if. It's only a question of when. That's why commitment is more powerful than talent, more important than luck, and more reliable than motivation. Motivation will come and go, talent will fade without discipline, luck cannot be controlled. But commitment endures. Commitment keeps you moving when nothing else does. Commitment is the force that pulls you forward even when every part of you wants to stop. So when you set your plan, when you decide on your vision, make the choice to be committed, not interested. Remove the exits, eliminate the excuses, burn the bridges back to the life you no longer want. Plant your flag in the ground and declare that you will not leave until you have built what you came here to build. Because commitment doesn't wait for proof, it doesn't require certainty, it doesn't need perfect conditions. Commitment is the decision to keep moving until the result shows up, no matter how long it takes, no matter how hard it gets, no matter how many times you stumble along the way.